everyone, it's Angela Dahlgren and welcome to another Facebook Live. I feel like I start the streams that way every single time, which is kind of boring, but it's just like what I do. So today, we're going to do what we always do. I'm going to answer some questions. I'm going to talk about some news. it's going to be fun. We're going to hopefully have a Disney dialogue question, and I kind of have something special for you today. So Brian and I have been working really hard on figuring out how to do a live stream, and so we're going to attempt that today. So I'm going to try to add him right now, and so just bear with me. We're going to see if it worked. I'm going to tap on his picture, and I'm going to invite him to the broadcast. Let's see if it works.
Ooh, it worked.
Here!
Wow. I really didn't think this would work. Huh.
We
Look at
tried
that.
this yesterday, and we look much more presentable. We look more camera ready, I think.
I actually was 1 minute away from putting on a tie and jacket just to be a jerk, but I didn't do it.
Well, I don't know. I think my Power Ranger t-shirt might have overdone the jacket. I'm trying to look to see comments. Can you see comments, Brian? Guys,
No, I can just see who joined because I forgot to grab my laptop. So, oh wait, there. Now I see comment.
You do? What'd you post?
Hi, Amy. I didn't push anything. It just popped up. So.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna hope that my questions pop up. Otherwise, Brian, you're gonna have to read the comments. So.
Okay. No problem. Yeah, I meant to grab my laptop when I came out here, and I didn't, so.
You know what? I actually have mine right next to me, so I can just view it from there. That works out. This is really exciting, you guys. I've been wanting to do this forever.
Oh, now I'm pushing my camera around. It's the only bad part with having to use the phone to do this.
And
there we go.
We got it figured out. So, okay, Brian, you're going to have to read some of the comments because I still can't see them yet.
The only one we have is Amy saying that it's a treat to have both of us on here. So, hi, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. All right, I'm gonna click on the video too so I can see the comments. Okay, I'm gonna have to look over, which is gonna be a little annoying for you guys, but
I do that all the time. So, I always read comments off of my laptop because it's really, and I always feel like I have my finger in people's faces when I'm scrolling on the phone. So
I don't know why I haven't ever done that. You learn something new every day. Okay, well, tell us where you are watching from as well. When you say hi, tell us.
We can tell her. I don't care.
Well, I want to know.
Okay. I'm gonna be the jerk on this one, I think.
All right. Well, you sip your water. I actually have a lot of questions that are for you, Brian, because people have really tricky questions for me today. I have a general answer, but I figure that you're gonna know a lot more than me, so I'm counting on that. Okay, and then we'll talk about views afterwards. Okay, so the first question is from Jean.
Oh, John is from Pennsylvania too. Woo! On the other side of Pennsylvania. I'm on the east side, but still counts.
Mandy from Arkansas. Marisol from California. Hi, Paul. This is cool. I'm really excited about this. Okay.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. Well, yeah, questions. Okay. Jean wants to know, will there ever be a dining or dessert package or a tour with Avatar Flight of Passage? No FastPass Plus were available for my whole stay 60 days out, and I'm willing to pay money to not stand in that line.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything. I think because there's such a huge line for it literally all the time, they haven't really wanted to add to that, because if they do some sort of package, unless it's after hours, which they do have something now, I don't know if that includes Flight of Passage, but they just announced some sort of after hours thing in Animal Kingdom.
They have I can talk about it. It's an ultimate VIP tour, but I'll talk about that after you give your answer.
Because we haven't heard anything about anything specific to Flight of Passage, but what I would say, if you want to go, because I had the same thing when I was there was no fast passes available, other than we managed to grab one in the evening just as our extra fast pass. We were in the Magic Kingdom and used all of them there. And as I was looking on my phone to see what else was available, an 8:25 Flight of Passage popped up, so we did that. But if you can't get them in the morning, I would say just go to Animal Kingdom 45 minutes to an hour at least before the park opens. I know it sounds crazy, But if you get there like an hour before, you'll only have to wait like 30 minutes or less, which then at least frees up the rest of your day. If you get there we got there once about 8:30 for 9 a.m. opening, once about 8:45. Both times we waited about 2 hours. So it gets real long and dicey. So I feel your pain, but as far as I know, there's not a lot you can do about it right now.
Well, I know my cousin and his family, they went, gosh, a couple weeks ago, and they got to the park I think a half hour before it opened, and people were just racing in to get to Pandora, and they
Mm-hmm.
still waited in line for like 45 minutes.
No, that's actually not 45 isn't that bad getting there then. Yeah,
Like,
like I said, we waited almost two getting there like a half hour before. We were literally in Africa waiting.
oh
Like the
my God,
line went all the way back there and then wrapped back down the bridge back towards Pandora. So
that's
I
like
don't.
the old school days, like in
Hmm.
like what 2004 and 5, where you had to wait for a couple hours.
Yeah, I remember running to Body Wars actually in Epcot once, literally running to be like the first one on the ride. So that was when they let you do that.
Wait, what's Body Wars?
Oh my God, you're so young.
Oh, what
Body
is?
Wars it was a simulator attraction in the Wonders of Life Pavilion in Epcot, where you got shrunken down to the size of a cell and injected into somebody's body. So you went past. It was a kind of maddening attraction because you couldn't see anything except like walls of blood and tissue, and it was really rough. But yeah,
It
it
kind
was
of
one of the hot attractions back in I don't know 1994, five, somewhere in there.
Were you guys into the Magic School Bus? Because there's the Magic School Bus where they go inside that kid's body,
Yes, I've
like
seen
the
that.
nerdy
Yeah.
kid. It sounds
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah, kinda. Or the movie Inner Space with was it Dennis Quaid and Martin Short? Was he in that? I don't remember,
I'm
but
tr-
that's an '80s, early '90s movie.
I haven't seen any of the good movies, I guess. Although my husband,
Oh, it's not a good
he,
movie.
it's not okay. So that's why my husband has not seen any good movies. Like he hasn't even seen Titanic or Lord of the Rings, and I feel like most people have seen one of those.
Yeah, I've seen Lord of the Rings many times. Titanic I hadn't seen until last year, I think. I finally watched it, and I didn't really enjoy the experience. So
It was a love story. Maybe that's why he didn't
maybe
like Pearl Harbor for the same reason. Okay,
yeah,
well,
nobody
before
liked
I
Pearl Harbor.
thought it was okay. Before we talk about the Ultimate Night of
Sorry.
Adventure tour, let's go back to some comments because I don't want to ignore you guys. Kristen says that we are driving from Atlanta to Orlando on Saturday. Anyone have info on gas availability and or road problems? That is a really good question.
Yeah, and that's something I can't answer. Hopefully there's some other people watching that are in the area and know, but I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is
I'm
really.
and Suzanne, I'm with you. Body Wars made me very sick too.
I still feel like I really missed out. They have to have footage somewhere for that.
Oh
John
yeah.
said, do they still have the extra magic hours in the evening? They stopped that, I believe, like
Mm-mm.
later August for Animal
Yep.
Kingdom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mid-August they stopped doing that, and they haven't announced more. So
When
I
was that?
wouldn't be surprised if like Thanksgiving or Christmas week they do it again, but probably not until then.
Well, do you think they'd still do that with it getting darker out? It seems like Rivers of Light is getting earlier and earlier around those dates, like at 6:30 p.m.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I think they'll still do it definitely over Christmas week. I think they might do it. Christmas week they have Magic Kingdom has extra more magic hours in the morning every day.
wow.
So, oh, Kathy there has a good point. If you go to on Gas Buddy, they will tell you which gas stations are open and available. So that will help. It won't really help with the roads, but I would use like Google Maps or Waze. They're usually pretty up to date with road closures. Waze is probably a little quicker on that stuff, although they're both owned by Google. So, but anyway, the I wouldn't be surprised if they do extra magic hours either like every day at Animal Kingdom in the morning or in the evening, even though, like you said, I mean, the sun's going to be going down at 6
Mm-hmm.
on those days, so you don't really need it. But just because if in September Pandora is as crazy as it is right now, Christmas week it's still going to be mad. So,
And I haven't spent a lot of time in Animal Kingdom the past few times I've gone.
mhm.
So they used to close it at 7, and then that was kind of it because of the animals.
Yeah.
And do you think it's made a huge difference with the extra magic hours? Like, why did they wait so long? Just because they didn't have Pandora done, they didn't have enough to do? Or
Well, it's because of the animals. They didn't want to keep them out later, and they didn't want any like fireworks or anything like that. So Rivers of Light doesn't really use fireworks for that reason. And
Mhm.
the extra magic hour was only for Pandora, which is at the front of the park and not near any animal
Okay.
enclosures. So that's why they could do it then. I mean, they could have done it before with Dino Land, but why?
It's Dino Land.
Yeah.
No, I
I'm
because
sorry, I have an infection of some sort. It's apparently bad enough that my doctor wouldn't shake my hand because he didn't want to catch it. So I'm on an antibiotic now, but when I keep coughing, sorry, that's
why
why.
are you here today? If you need to sign off, let me know. I got this.
I'm working anyway. This is more fun than what I was doing before.
It's true. You get to talk to me and everyone else. And we have a lot of people joining us. We have
Good.
yeah, a good amount of people. And I got a really good question from Allison. She said that her dad has mobility issues and he's going to be in an ECV, an electric scooter. What time do you recommend arriving to Rope Drop for Flight of Passage? Probably much, much earlier because people are just. My mom uses an ECV when we travel because she has mobility issues. And people just go right past her. They cut in
Mhm.
front of her all the time. And it's very stressful. So I would think, at least an hour for them time?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to hurt if you're there earlier. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to be at the front of the line, which is not a bad thing at all.
Right.
So yeah, the good thing is before park open, it moves kind of in stages. So they'll let you through the turnstiles, depending on how busy it is. They'll start letting you in the park anywhere from like 15 minutes up to about an hour beforehand. Then you'll go through the Oasis to Discovery Island, turn onto the bridge over Pandora, and that's when you'll hit the rest of the crowd that is waiting to get into Pandora, where there will be another rope. Then that one that one I think they usually drop like again about 15 to 30 minutes depending on how busy the park is, because they don't want the line getting out into back to the turnstile. So once they drop that one, then they kind of walk you up to and make sure the line stays in the right form as well as they could anyway. So once they get to there, it shouldn't be too bad because everybody, for the most part, moves orderly in a line. You're always going to have people that pretend they don't know the line's there and walk up to the front and then just kind of cut in, but not much you can do about that except yell and be a jerk like I do, while my wife goes, "No, just let it go." But but yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be too bad. Getting from the turnstile to the entrance to Pandora will be the slowest part, and it's all uphill, and some of those ECVs don't
Um,
go well uphill. So, but like I said, if you get there early enough, the worst that's going to happen is you're just going to be in towards the front, which is a good thing. So,
well, and also the ECVs can't get wet, so if it's raining, that's an additional challenge.
mhm,
So it is possible, but yeah, it's not going to be super different. You'll just have to get there
mhm.
earlier.
No.
Well, as far as what Jean was saying about is there a dining or dessert package or a tour with Flight of Passage, there is, and it actually, I think I talked about this in a weekly preview a few weeks ago. It's called the Ultimate Nights of Adventure VIP Tour. And it's basically, they call it expedited access via FastPass Plus. So basically, it's a 4-hour tour where you'll get to go on all of those big attractions at Animal Kingdom. And this is like Expedition Everest, Kilimanjaro Safari, Flight of Passage, Navi River Journey, Dinosaur, and then Rivers of Light. That sounds like a pretty good gig if you're going to
Yeah,
be going to Animal Kingdom, but it is $249 plus tax. So
that's
over
per
two.
person, isn't it? Or
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's
Ouch.
offered Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Let us know your opinion. Do you think that it's worth it if you get to go on all those attractions? I have a hard time justifying it, but I can see the temptation for sure.
I feel like that would be one of those things that you wouldn't want to pay for it, but when you actually did and were there, you wouldn't care how much you paid for it because
Yeah.
you'd be walking onto everything and just be excited about that. That's what I heard about that. The Magic Morning that they've been doing at Magic Kingdom. That's like, I forget how much that is, but you get like 75 minutes or something in Fantasyland by yourself. And I've heard that about that it's feels worth the money when you're there because there's no one else there.
I would totally do that. I would. I guess it depends how much it was, but like thinking about it, not knowing the
Two
amount, I would totally do it.
250 like for either of our families. I mean, you're talking $1,000.
I know, like I
That's
feel like I'd have to sacrifice the children and leave them behind and just go myself. Michael
yeah.
wouldn't care. He wouldn't want to go anyway. Gosh, that's expensive. $1,000. But actually kind of going along with that, what you were mentioning about the morning kind of hours for Magic Kingdom, they're bringing back Disney After Hours. They did this, I think, last year where, you know, in the evening, it's $119 plus tax if you buy tickets beforehand. It says guests enjoy quicker access to select rides and character meet and greets. So basically, you get there at 8 or 9 p.m. and you have the park to yourself till 11 or midnight, and you get free popcorn and ice cream and beverages. And I think DVC members and annual pass holders get that price for like $89, which, I mean, that's not really much different than a Christmas party or a Halloween party.
Well, and I see Shannon just pointed out it was $79 for an adult for the early morning Magic. So it would be, you know, around that price. Although I think with the after hours you get more time and more attractions, if I'm right. So that stuff is a lot easier to justify, especially if you're on a shorter trip. And if you're on an annual pass, like if you were an annual pass holder and you're only going for like a long weekend, I think it's a lot easier to justify those costs because you're not technically paying for the ticket for that trip, even though you have. Right. But we all know once you pay for it the first time, it feels like you're going for free after that. So, and if it's a shorter trip where you figure, okay, I can just bang out all of Magic Kingdom in this one party, that wouldn't, or this one event, like I'd be fine with doing that rather than having to fight through the crowds there.
Right. No, I agree. And you can get in as early as 7, and then depending on when the party starts, you can stay until midnight. So, I mean, that's a good amount of hours. It's cheaper than an admission ticket to the park. So I do think that would be worth it. And it's from January to March, kind of select nights, in case you're wondering. So yeah, that's my news for that one. I'm crossing things out as I read them. Let's look at some comments. Brian, do you want to read some?
Well, I have to scroll backwards, which means I have to stick my finger up the camera. Oh, this isn't too bad. I can hide it with the split screen. So.
Paul said, at Magic Kingdom rope drop, can you walk through the castle or do you have to go around to get to Fantasyland?
No, you can go through the castle usually.
You can go through the castle. What is the best route if trying to get to Peter Pan first?
Yeah, I go straight through the castle is the best route. I think was he asking during extra magic hours or regular rope drop there?
Regular rope drop.
Okay, so that I'm not sure of because they do the welcome show now on the castle stage. So I don't remember offhand when they let you through the castle. They may be a delay of a few minutes. I know if you come in after rope drop, you can go straight through the castle. But I don't know how long that delay is, because if there's a delay of pretty much any time, you'd be better off going around. If you're going to Peter Pan, I would go through Liberty Square, and then as soon as you cross the bridge, you take the first right, and it just bends right up back behind the castle, and you'll be right there. That's going to be the quickest way to get up there.
It changes things too, like if you have breakfast reservations. For example, when I did it, I was at Be Our Guest at 8:15 or 8:10. So we walked right out of the restaurant and then lined up for Peter Pan. So we were already past the castle at that point. So I haven't had experience being on Main Street or in the hub before rope drop.
Yeah, I haven't done the rope drop at Magic Kingdom in a little while, actually, since they changed it now where they do the welcome show at the castle. So, and most of the questions we get are about how to get to like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train faster and things like that. So, I honestly don't remember. I'm sure somebody else knows whether you can go through the castle right away, but now that I'm thinking about it, I bet you probably can't. I bet there's a 10 or 15 minute delay before they open up the castle because of the show. But yeah, when we were there, we did Cinderella Royal Table before park opening, and we walked out. It was like 8:45. The park was opening at 9, and we were going to go over and wait for Seven Doors Mine Train, and it was already running, and they were just letting anybody walk on. But the only people in the park were the ones who had breakfast reservations. So we went on no wait. We went on twice in a row on Seven Doors Mine Train before they shut down they were letting people in through the fast pass line, and they shut it down. So we said, all right, let's go do something else then.
No
So that
kidding.
was
You're like,
fantastic.
okay,
Yeah.
cross it off our list for the trip. We just wrote it twice.
And I've heard they've done that with a few times, and with a few different attractions at like same thing. We had one at Garden Grill in the Land Pavilion in Epcot, and walked out. Now it was right about 9 o'clock, but when we got to Soarin', it was already open, and there were people already like waiting to go in. We were far from the first ones in the holding pen, so I think they started running that early too, just because they were there. I don't know.
Okay, so note to everyone, if you can, get breakfast at a park before the park opens.
Yeah, that's always a good plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't wait until 9. Go a little early and see if you can get lucky. And again, worst case scenario, you'll just be the first one on the ride. So
It's always worth, even though I hate to get up early, it's always worth getting up early and then going back for an afternoon nap, because I feel like you just get to do more in the morning.
you absolutely do. Yeah.
Speaking
That's it.
of
We get
garden,
up early anyway, so.
well, you're up at like 4 in the morning every morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I slept until 5:30 today.
that's like so early. I don't know how you don't drink more coffee. Speaking of Garden Grill, though, I feel like not enough people talk about how good their food is. It is delicious. We went there for
I like
dinner.
it a lot.
Oh my gosh, no, I feel like no one talks about it. They always talk about the World Showcase meals, and Garden Grill is amazing. And a lot of people love Sunshine Seasons too. So that's my 2 cents. Let's move on to another question. Another one from, actually, this is a good one because a couple people had this question. Are the crowd levels showing currently on the website, the updated ones since the storm? Yes, so Kelly asked this question. She's wondering, have we updated the crowd levels and how they'll be affected during, from the Hurricane Irma? And yes, they were updated, what was it, yesterday evening?
I think so, yeah. I know I had a lot of emails telling me that they were updated, so it did it at some point last night, yeah.
Yeah, because I checked, I think yesterday afternoon I checked, and they had changed, so I just did that for today's Walt Disney World preview.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's only, I was going to say it's only for the next few months, though, because it takes a long time to run all the statistical models. So I forget when Fred said it was through. It was either December or January. I don't remember which one. So if you're looking for like spring or something like that, they may not be updated yet, but they will be soon.
Well, and someone actually had a question about because people are rescheduling their vacations, if that will affect the crowds in January. I think it depends.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. It really depends on when. If they were like a lot of the southern schools, like I know some of the schools around Atlanta, and that they do, they're on a different schedule, so they start much earlier, but then they have week-long, 2-week-long breaks. So one of our statisticians, Steve, his family is like that. They started school, I think, August 1st, but then you have a week off in September. Usually he'll use that to go to Disney World, but that was hurricane time this year, so obviously he didn't. So people like that in the South will probably schedule it for another time that their kids are off, which I think is like Christmas and spring break and that now, which are busy anyway. Yeah, it kind of just depends. I imagine it will be more spread out. It seems unlikely that everybody who was going to go last week and canceled will all decide to reschedule for the same week. And as far as I know, Disney was not giving any specific discounts to people that canceled. They were just allowing them to rebook their trip. So I imagine it will be spread out over the next few months. But I don't know. And there's unfortunately not much of a way we can track that.
Right, right. I mean,
We already track school schedules and everything. So there's not.
You don't anticipate a hurricane,
Mm-mm.
that's for sure.
Well, you kind of do. It does happen like every year.
Exactly. You can't anticipate how much it'll affect down the long term. And Disney, Tom was saying that Disney donated 2.5 million for hurricane relief, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Every time I see them donate money, I always kind of wish they would donate it to the cast members who tend to be underpaid. But, you know, what are you going to do? It doesn't look as good to do that, I guess.
Well, and it indirectly goes to them because I'm sure their houses and property were affected.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to keep up with the comments because I don't want you guys to feel like we're ignoring you. Chris was answering Paul's question about the best route and said go over by Sleepy Hollow.
Mm-hmm. That's the one I was talking about. Yeah, to go across the Liberty Square Bridge, and then it's the immediate right after the bridge there.
Okay, and Michael says, what are your favorite quick service / snack places for breakfast near Beach Club? I would go to the Boardwalk for breakfast and go to the Boardwalk Bakery and get like a muffin. I usually get the croissants. That's what I would do.
Yeah, Boardwalk Bakery was my first thought too. If you want to do something sit down, well, now it's a character meal actually at Trattoria Al Forno, but it is we did that when we were down there. It is one of the better character meals, and the food was actually pretty good at it too. So if you're looking for something like that, that's right there. Yeah, the bakery was the one I thought of too. I can't really think of anything else specifically there that's really good for breakfast. There's a couple different options in like the Swan and Dolphin and that too, but none that are as good.
Well, and that was for quick service, so I think the bakery, like we said, would be the best bet.
Yeah.
Let's see. Billy said, wonder if during slower periods of booking for pre-open breakfast advanced dining reservations, they'd see added value in including a fast pass for the nearest e-ticket.
Probably. I mean, I think actually when we were eating at the Garden Grill, our waitress came around and gave us fast passes for Turtle Talk with Crush, which absolutely does not need fast passes. But yeah, so we were like, okay, but all it does is get you into the little staging room outside of the theater, which is almost never full. So but yeah, she was walking around handing them to anybody that took them. So I would think, especially something like, you know, Garden Grill and Soarin', if they gave you a Soarin' Fast Pass, I would think that would be a bonus for a lot of people. And again, I mean, if they gave it to you for, say, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., they're not really giving it much away because you don't really need it right away like that. But you know, I don't know. I mean, I would, especially if I could do like Tusker House and get a Flight of Passage Fast Pass. I would book that every trip. Yeah.
How much they would be booked solid every single morning if that was the case. Every single day. Sorry, our questions are flooding in so quickly. They keep scrolling up.
I've got one, yeah, because I was rolling back while you were talking before. So Talana, I think it's Talana. Sorry, my eyes aren't good enough to read on the screen this far away. Are there any rumors of rolling out security to other parks the way they've done it at Magic Kingdom, like having security points be at transportation hubs and parking lots? I haven't heard actually any rumors, but I really, really like the way they do security at Magic Kingdom now. Angela, have you been there since they changed it?
Yeah, and we actually stayed at Bay Lake. And so it was awesome because we just went through security before we got in the monorail, or if you were walking there, we went through security before you were even by the buses.
Yeah. We did it from the Ticket and Transportation Center a few times. and it was so much easier because the lines weren't as bad. I mean, even getting off the tram at the TTC, there, there still wasn't huge lines for security. And then when you got to the park, it was so nice being able to just literally walk right in. I loved it. I could see it being a little frustrating. We were on the monorail once at Poly or Grand Floridian, I don't remember which one now, and watched somebody like run up to try to catch the monorail and have to like stop and empty their pockets to go through the metal detector, and then the monorail pulled away without them. So I could see it being a little frustrating when that happens, but I think it's so much more helpful. And from a security standpoint, it's so much better because that nothing made me more nervous than the crush of people waiting to get into the bag check area who haven't been screened or anything. But not to mention the monorail. I mean, the just being on the monorail in general with people who haven't gone through the security is a little nerve-wracking. But you can already, I believe you can skip security if you are coming on the monorail from the Ticket and Transportation Center to Epcot already, because you have to go through the screening at the TTC. So that's an easy one. The tricky part with the rest of it is the buses, because most of the other resorts, I mean, Epcot already has two areas, one for International Gateway and one for the front. Everywhere else, and then it's all bus service. So you'd still almost have to put the security right next to where the buses come out, which wouldn't be that much different than the people walking up anyway. So that's where it gets a little trickier. To really maximize efficiency, they'd have to start doing security at each of the resorts before you got on the bus. But now you're talking a lot more security stations, a lot more security people. So I don't know that they're really going to do that. I would personally prefer it, but I don't see it happening. They're cutting staffing like crazy. I can't imagine they're going to triple their security personnel just to do this.
We actually have a question about that.
Good. I set you up for that one. I was hoping.
Yeah, you sure did. That was an amazing segue. And now I'm looking for it. Oh my gosh, did I not print that off? It's right here at any rate. Okay, there appears to be big staffing cuts reducing capacity, especially in slower seasons. Then she gave a couple examples. This is a question by Mary. This seems to be greatly reducing incentive to go in the slow season, especially when hours and entertainment are reduced. Do you foresee Disney continuing to understaff in slow season? We've noticed more crowded weekends with better ride and park flow because of the longer hours and more staff.
Yeah, Disney, and if you look at our blog, that's blog.touringplans.com, and search for I don't know, probably security. Our lead statistician Fred did an analysis of the staffing cuts, because we've heard that they've been cutting staffing now for a while, just in kind of small increments here and there. And it actually is getting to the point where it affects wait times now. We know for a fact, because Disney has to report to shareholders, that the attendance is not going up at a significant rate, but the wait times are. So the only thing we can surmise from that is that the wait times are going up because staffing is being cut, which is what we're also hearing from cast members and everything. So it makes sense. And yeah, I know one of the examples she gave was how the playground in Dumbo is closed a lot now. And that was actually, the funny part is my kids were more excited about that than riding Dumbo. They only wanted to ride Dumbo because they thought you had to play on the playground. And twice we went in there and it was closed both times. So that's a very clear just staffing cut. It has to be. I don't know why else they would have that closed. But everywhere else, I mean, I've been to the parks a lot, and I know where cast members usually stand and how many, and you saw a lot fewer. I mean, there would only be one at the front checking fast passes. Most of the time they would have the secondary fast pass scanner closed completely. They're loading. There would only be one cast member loading, and then they'd walk over and have to hit the buttons to make the ride go, which never used to be the case. And but I don't think it's just during slow times. I think this is just how the Disney company is working right now, where they're trying to do it as much with as few people as possible, which anyone who has ever worked in a large company has felt this before. This is something all companies get to at some point or another. And I just, there's not a lot we can do with it. The touring plans will catch up. We know the wait times are going up. They will all update as it comes in, but it just kind of stinks is all, I
It
guess.
kind of bothers me because I live pretty close to the Mall of America, and they have an amusement park in the middle of it. And when I go during the week, I see not all the rides are in operation, and I see a cast member going between two. They'll spend 20 minutes at one ride, then they'll walk over to the other, and then spend 20 minutes at that one. And I just don't like the look. I don't like the the feel of it. It just seems kind of a little lazy, a little cheap. I don't like that. I feel like people are paying so much money to go to Disney World,
Mm-hmm.
Disney World, that they should have the attractions in operation, all of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about as negative as I get on here.
All
I try
right.
to be
Well,
positive.
here's one I'll ask you. Sharon says that the monorail schedule and breakdowns are a nightmare. Any chance Disney will replace them? What do you think? I know there's no plans to it, but what do you think? How long will they wait till they replace these now 20-year-old monorails, whatever they are?
Here's another Minnesota parallel for you. So the
Oh
company,
boy.
I know, there's a lot of them today. So the company that made the monorails for Walt Disney World, I assume Disneyland too. Isn't there a monorail? Yeah.
There is, yeah, but it's a different style though, so I don't know if it's the same company or
They,
not.
the Minnesota Zoo bought a monorail from that company. This
Hmm.
is a long time ago, probably when it first opened. They actually bought two. They bought one to run and one to use as parts, just to take from to fix the one that runs. And over the years, over like 20 years, they used up all the parts, and now it's just dead. Now that they're not using it anymore, they got rid of the monorail and everything. But the zoo's a nonprofit. They go off of donations. They can't really afford to spend that much money because monorails are really expensive. But
Yeah.
I definitely think with how much they're breaking down, they need to be replaced and upgraded and maybe made more eco-friendly or whatever they can do in this day and age for technology.
I would love to see them operate. I was trying to look and see how long it's been that this fleet has been in. It looks like it might be 1989. Is
That's
that
when I
when the
was
Mark IVs
born.
came in?
28 years?
Really? Jeez. Um, but yeah, I would love. I'm such a nerd for that kind of thing. So I would really like to see them change it, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. I mean, I think those things would have to just start dying completely for them to redo them. But I mean, on one hand, I kind of like the weird 70s style of them still. But well, the Disneyland one actually looks very, very like 50s, 60s retro, and they did that on purpose. So I would like to see that. That's my answer for pretty much anything involving the monorails or like Tomorrowland or Epcot. Is I want them to go like straight up like 80s retro.
Yeah.
So that's what
Like
I
Pivot.
want. Hmm.
Well, and if that's the way they're going to go with Epcot, then they should do that. If they're going to take Epcot in a different style and truly make it more technologically advanced, then they should do that for the monorail as well. Whatever
See
theme they stick with.
what I want them to do with Epcot's Future World is go like 80s future, where what I want them to go back to what the vision of the future was like in the 80s and just stick with that, because then they wouldn't have to change it all the time. They could have like charmingly stupid things like the video phones that you could make reservations on that they used to have there, and stuff like that now would be funny because they're so out of date. I
They
would
can
love
bring
to see them do
back
stuff like that.
Captain EO again.
No, they just shouldn't do that.
I only got to see that once. I think that I want to know your thoughts. Which way do you think that they should go with Epcot? Do you think that they should go old school, or do you think that they should, make it more advanced? And also, I want to point out we are missing. We're not going to get to every comment, but I always go back at the end of every single live stream and answer any questions I missed.
Oh.
So don't feel like we're ignoring you. We will get to your questions. There's just a good amount of you, which we love seeing. It's awesome.
I would go retro every time. I think they should do that with some form of that with Tomorrowland too, because it was always a fool's errand to try to keep it updated in perpetuity. It was never going to happen. So to do it again would just be idiocy.
Talana said, I really just want them to keep the educational aspect of
Mm-hmm.
Epcot. I
Yeah,
agree.
which they could easily do. I mean, they could use it to teach about. I mean, World of Motion was a good example, which is one of the ones. I mean, even people like to pine for Horizons, which I only kind of remember, to be honest. I know mostly from videos I've seen since, but World of Motion is the one that I kind of miss because that's what Test Track is now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a history of transportation, very similar to the way they do Spaceship Earth in communication. It was from the horse cart up to like modern cars. But that still works because cars aren't changing that much. Like you can't do computers because it would look ridiculous the second it opened. But vehicles don't change that much. And I mean, you can do a section on electric cars and whatever else they think might happen. But I would like to see them do more things like that are, well, here's the history of it up until now, and we'll see what happens next, kind of thing. I think that's a lot easier to play up. I mean, Spaceship Earth has been there for
Right.
how long?
Exactly
40 years, and it doesn't seem outdated. They've added some scenes to it, but most of it still holds up. So, where like Test Track now, I mean, it's a more fun ride than World of Motion was, but it doesn't really do anything. I mean, you get the weird Tron world, and then you get to look at a bunch of Chevys at the end. So
yeah, I just experienced it in June. Yeah, that's when I went on it last, and it had been, gosh, probably since 2008. That was the last time I did Test Track. It was a long time, and they changed a lot in that time period. And I don't know, I just didn't like it as much. It was still fun going that fast, but it wasn't like my favorite ride ever.
yeah.
So.
But now that they're putting in like the Guardians of the Galaxy coaster is going to go where Ellen's Energy Adventure is, like it would be nice if they could do something, put in an older style like ride through educational one. So my kids actually love Spaceship Earth. That's the saddest thing about it, is that
my
like
favorite.
but I mean my kids are 8 and 6. We went on Spaceship Earth like 4 times when we were there last time. Like they love it. So it's not, that makes me madder than anything else, that these attractions still work and they just kind of ignore it. But
I mean, I know we're kind of getting off on a tangent, and I'll get
I
off
think
my
that's what the
soapbox.
point of this is, though, isn't it?
I'll get off my soapbox soon, but I see a grave error, and I think Disney's slowly learning their lesson in featuring a celebrity on their attractions.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like Aerosmith, the ride is great. The roller coasters were great. Ellen's Energy Adventure just closed. Wasn't Bill Nye in that one? And then the American Idol experience, which was huge for a long time, but now, they replaced that. I think they got to stick to that Disney theme.
Yeah, they really, like the 90s, they really went on this kick of having a celebrity in everything. I mean, I remember Sounds Dangerous at Hollywood Studios had Drew Carey in it. There's the Canada film that is Martin Short.
Yeah.
They just wanted a celebrity, and I mean that's what, listening to like the Jim Hill podcasts, they were talking about redoing Imagination using a different dream finder, and they were talking about like Jack Black or somebody like that. And yeah, they just it is funny. They did that a lot for a while, and I think now they've realized, oh, that gets old real fast. Or like the Michael Jackson with Captain EO, like, oh, stuff happens, and it's like, oh, okay, we can't have this anymore. And,
I know, and then you're kind of in a scramble. Like, what do? We have to stay sensitive and respectful. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to bring that up. I will move on. Another question because I feel so bad that I haven't gotten to these. Just a quick one. Sherry wanted to know if the sloth is still at Animal Kingdom Park in the Oasis exhibit. As of January 2017, it is not. So I just wanted to get to her question.
I think it might be because I saw somebody else had asked a question at some point because I think it was Seth was doing a live broadcast from Animal Kingdom the day they opened from the hurricane. And I think he was showing the sloth in that one because
So
somebody
it is
had,
that.
I think somebody had asked where the sloth was.
So yeah, it should be at the Oasis exhibit.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure in Seth's video, it should be below us somewhere. So when we're done, not now, obviously, scroll down and look for a live walkthrough of Animal Kingdom that Seth did. I'm pretty sure the sloth is in there. So.
Well, I wonder why they got rid of it to begin with in January.
I mean, who knows? It could have been a medical issue or, or anything. I mean, who knows? Maybe there was something wrong with animals. You just never know. They go on and off exhibit all the time because of different stuff. So.
Well, the sloth in Zootopia, the two sloths completely made that
Flash,
movie.
yeah.
And Priscilla, like I daily quote them. Such a good part of the film. John has been really patient. He asked this question beforehand and then he asked it again during the stream. When at the park, should you stick to your touring plan or use the Lines app? Brian, I'm going to defer to you. I have an answer, but I'm not sure it's right. So I'm going to let you answer.
It kind of depends what you want to do. Normally, the most efficient way is to use the Lines app because on the app, we adjust on the fly. So as we get wait times in from, both posted wait times and people timing their actual waits, we update all of our numbers. So that will be the most accurate on the day. If I know not people don't like to be tethered to their phones the whole time they're on vacation though. So if that's why you're asking, that you would just prefer not to sit there and constantly be optimizing your touring plan, there is nothing wrong with just following the plan as is. It will work perfectly fine. But if you are looking for the optimal plan, use the app and optimize either when you get off schedule or just every few steps to make sure it's still right, is what I would say.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And it forecasts the standby times throughout the day, doesn't it?
Yep. Yeah,
the
actual wait times, not the posted, because Disney's posted wait times are almost never exactly right. They're usually exaggerated, which Disney does on purpose, because if they post a 60-minute wait at Peter Pan and you only wait 50 minutes, you'll be fine with it. But if they post a 40-minute wait and you wait 50 minutes, you might go to guest services and complain about it. That's just how it works.
In that case, JM was saying the Lines app better than the Disney app. You'd say the Lines app is more accurate then.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And that's why, because they can't tell you how long they think you'll actually wait, because if they're wrong, they will get complaints about it. Right. We are fairly confident in our actual waits, so we don't mind telling you.
Now, Brian, have you ever done a Disney cruise?
I have not.
I haven't either.
I've never done a cruise at all. So.
Me either. It's shameful, isn't it? Everyone loves cruises.
Yeah. Now, we've looked at it a few times, but pricing out a cruise versus just like flying to an island and staying at a hotel there, the island has always been cheaper, so I go there instead. So cruises don't have a lot of fluctuation on their pricing where things like flights and hotels do. So I tend to just wait until I see a really good deal on that instead. But.
And then go from there. Yeah, because we had a question wondering if they're ever going to bring back Hawaii as a destination. And on the Disney website I checked this morning, the web pages for Hawaii, there were like 3 or 4. They all said they were under construction.
Being that they have the resort Alani on Hawaii, it seems like a natural fit. Like they would do a cruise to Hawaii with a 2 or 3 night stay over or something like that, that they really haven't done yet. So I wouldn't be surprised. They're also building 3 more boats within the next like 4 or 5 years. So when they have more ships, I guess. I think cruise people get annoyed when you call them boats, which is why I usually do it. Um, but they'll be up to 7 ships. They're going to be covering a lot more places, so they may just be waiting until they have more ships online. So the problem I think with the Hawaii cruise is that it's hard to reposition then for something else. If you're doing Caribbean or even transatlantic or Mediterranean, like there's a lot of ports in there you can reposition more easily. If you're on the West Coast, it takes a long time to go down through the Panama Canal and that kind of stuff. So that could be it too. But
well, and one of our colleagues, Julia, she brought up, with the hurricane, how will that affect the ports, in that area that were
yeah.
really damaged?
Yeah, I've heard that at least as of a day or two ago, the port of Miami was still closed because I know that was affecting like Disney doesn't go out of Miami, but that was affecting like Royal Caribbean and some of the other lines that do rely heavily on Miami. So Bahamas, I think, got some damage. Yeah, I mean mostly it would be the home ports. So like Port Canaveral, I think is fine, which is Disney's major port. If like they can't go to the Bahamas, then they could just reschedule, adjust things and go somewhere else or do an extra day at sea. But if like Port Canaveral got damaged, that would be pretty rough. But yeah, I don't know. Miami was the only one I remember hearing that had to close. But I'm sure with the amount of money cruises bring in, they are going to fix those ports as fast as possible. So.
Oh yeah, they have to. I mean, they have schedules to by, but yeah, that was a curious question when she asked that. Oh my gosh, it's 11:50. Brian, if you have to leave at any point, I can always get through these questions myself.
You just really messed with me. I forget you're in a different time zone because I'm like it's almost 1. What are you talking about? But yeah.
I know. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, I forgot to. Yeah, it's almost noon here.
No, I have nothing else to do. So.
All right, me either.
Hopefully our boss isn't watching.
I know. Sorry. Okay, this was a really great question. I thought this was from Brenda. Is the annual pass holder discount available on restaurant pre-order? And the answer is no.
Nope.
You'll have to order in person if you want a discount, if you're using a Disney gift card, or if you're on the Disney dining plan.
Yep. Yeah, and I've asked cast members, I've asked around a lot about that, and they say they're trying to get that stuff on there, especially the dining plan, I imagine. But I think also not having the dining plan on the mobile ordering, it's reduced the number of mobile orders they get. So right now, while they're still working the kinks out of it, I think that's kind of on purpose that they don't have the dining plan also. Because I feel like it wouldn't be that hard to add the dining plan on there, but supposedly they're working on it.
Because if it's connected to your Magic Band and your My Disney Experience account already, it should not be hard to kind of transfer that over.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so, but I don't know. I really like the mobile ordering, by the way. We used it a few times, and it was.
Did you?
It's so much easier. Actually, tomorrow on our YouTube channel, I'm going to put up a video on how to use the mobile ordering that I shot. It's really nice. Because you can do it like hours in advance, and then you just when you're getting close to the restaurant, you just press the button that says I'm here, prepare my food. So when we'd be in line for an attraction or something, I'd be sitting there scrolling through the menu, figuring out what we wanted, and then when we get over there, we would just hit it, and then you can just go find a table. You're on the phone, a notification pops up and tells you it's ready, and you go and pick it up, and that's it. So
that's really
so much easier.
Well, especially when you have kids. One can kind of stay with the kids, the other can go up and get the food. If you use the pre-ordering or the mobile ordering, either thumbs up or let us know in the comments. Let us know how you like it or if you think it's a good idea. We always like to hear from you because clearly Brian and I both like to talk, but we do want to hear what you have to say too. So let's see.
She does. I just want to talk.
I know. I like to be considerate of others. I try.
That's why you're here, because I wouldn't. Even when you were saying about going back and answering unanswered questions, I was like, oh, I don't think I've ever done that. Now I'm going to have to. People are going to expect it.
I know. Now I have to make you strive for better. But I will say I only have to do that because you can answer them on the fly because you know everything. I have to look up the answer.
That is true. That's what I tell my kids. I know everything. So.
Oh man, you're one of those dads. Oh. Nancy had a good question. She says that she's read reviews online that people staying at All-Star resorts are offered a gift card in exchange for mousekeeping services.
Mhm.
Is this happening at the other Disney resorts?
That I don't know. I feel like I heard it was happening at Pop Century
Mm-hmm.
also.
Yeah.
But I know it's not widespread, at least now. And yeah, the deal was, and I'm paraphrasing here, that it was if you foregoed housekeeping for, a certain amount of time, you got a certain amount of gift card up to like $50 or something decent, uh, which I would do. I'm a firm believer in that do not disturb sign. I don't like people coming in my room, so I never use housekeeping unless I'm there for quite a while. But but no, I haven't really heard that much about it, and it's not widely publicized. Like it's one of those things that they just kind of hit you with when you check into some of the resorts. So obviously they're using All Stars as their test ground right now. They're also testing a change in the food court at All Star Music right now, where instead of um, normally with the food courts at the values and moderates at least, you go up to different food bays that have slightly different items. You order what you want, and then there we go. Heather says it's $20 a day for no housekeeping. Wow, that's significant.
And Rich said that he just left Pop September 4th and it was not offered to them.
Oh, and there's Julia, our blog manager right now, saying that it was at Port Owen's French Quarter earlier this summer, but she was told it was a test program. I think it's a test program everywhere, so it comes and goes, I'm sure. But But anyway, at the normal food court, you go up to the bay, you order whatever you want, and then you go to a central cashier to pay for everything. All Star Music right now, they're testing a system where you order from the cashier whatever you want, pay for it. They give you a pager like a restaurant. You go and then pager goes off. You pick up your food from a different window. So, and that is something that we're also being told is a test program to kind of see how that works. So I think they're using All Stars as their proving ground right now. So we'll see.
Like Disney is testing out a lot of things right now between, like the minivans and the mobile ordering, the pre-ordering. I mean, it's good. And I haven't heard, maybe you have, of as far as the minivans, them going past Wilderness Lodge, as far as the deluxes. They have Boardwalk, Yacht and Beach,
Boardwalk, Yacht Beach,
Lodge, the villas around Wilderness Lodge, but they haven't extended that to my knowledge yet.
No, I don't think so. Not that but that's another thing that they haven't really been, and I think that's some of it too. They've done testing like this before, but it's hard to get stuff by Disney sites now. So everybody kind of knows everything they're doing. Talana pointed out that this food court test program is another way to reduce staff. Yes, it absolutely is. So is the housekeeping thing. I mean, if they find out that lots of people will sacrifice housekeeping for $20 a night, they can have a lot fewer housekeepers. So, that's definitely some of it. But they are kind of in this phase now where they're throwing a lot of stuff at the wall, which is a really interesting thing to do. And I think a lot of it, honestly, is because they're afraid of Universal, because Universal is peeling people away from Disney. And I think they want to try to keep people on property as much as they can. So they're trying things like minivans and all this other stuff to keep people happy when they're at Disney World, so they don't go stay at Universal.
You gave me the perfect segue again.
Yay!
So thank you. I know, it's like we planned this. Okay, so Rebecca wanted to know, do you think Disney will ever roll out a paid Fast Pass option? For an extra fee, you can get onto every attraction. And Universal does this.
They do.
And they have for a while now. It's called
years, yeah.
Express Unlimited.
Well, it's Express Pass. There's two different kinds. The Express Unlimited is, and that's the kind you get if you are staying at their deluxe resorts, which are Royal Pacific, Hard Rock, and the Portofino Bay. I think that's what it's called. They and that's where basically you get to go through the Fast Pass line on just about any attraction as much as you want. They have another version of the Express Pass that is cheaper to buy that allows you to go through the Express Pass line one time per attraction. So, and that's the only option. There is no free Express Pass option at Universal. And they've done that at least 10, 15 years. So, what I think is, I think it's likely that Disney will go to a system like this. But I think what they will do, because I don't think they're ever going to give up the free fast passes. I think they're too far down that road. If they took it away and made it a paid system, people would flip out. What I think they are more likely to do in Disneyland, they introduced the Max Pass. Max Pass is the exact same fast pass system, except that you can use your phone to make fast passes, and it's like $10 a day.
And you get photo pass for the day.
You do. You also get the photo pass with it. Yes. I think it's only $10 a day. I don't remember, but
yeah.
And it's the same. You don't get extra fast passes. You just get to do it on your phone. Now Disney World already has that Fast Pass Plus. You can make on your phone too, and 60 days in advance if you're staying on site. But I could see them doing a paid system that is like an additional to, like, Fast Pass Plus or whatever they decide to call it, or just Max Pass there, where you get an additional 3 a day, or 3 times you can just walk up and get in the Fast Pass line whether you have a reservation or not. Something like that they would charge for on top of the regular system. I don't think the free system is ever going to go away. I don't think it can.
No.
But I would be shocked. Yeah, oh, exactly. But I would be shocked if they didn't charge money for it for something in the future. If there's one thing we know about Disney, they love charging money for extra things.
Well, and Max Pass, I feel like enough people complained about that if they ever brought that to Disney World and got rid of the free Fast Pass,
yeah, no way.
Yeah, they can't. They kind of got themselves in that rut. I mean, I just can't see them getting out of that.
No, the line at guest services would be the longest line in the park if they got rid of if they made Fast Passes, paid. And the funny part is, a lot of people thought when Fast Pass, I don't know if you visited the parks at all when Fast Pass originally was rolling out, the paper Fast Pass. I mean, there were tons of people that thought you had to pay for it and would get really, really mad at the people walking past them in line. And to the points that, I've heard rumors of there actually being like fist fights in lines because people thought other people were cutting the line and all this. Like, it is ridiculous. Even still, within the last couple of years, I've heard people asking cast members, how you get Fast Passes and how much they cost. So it's, people still kind of think they have to pay for it. So having a separate system that people do have to pay for, I don't think is a stretch.
I do like your idea of just getting an additional 3 that you can use anytime. Yeah. That if you take like the Disney Vacation Club tour, they'll give you some like VIP Fast Passes where you just hand it to the person at the attraction entrance and just go on through.
Yeah, and they'll give you those for you froze for a second there.
I know you didn't go.
And they will, if you have a bad enough issue with guest services. A lot of times they'll give you free fast passes or things. We got one in Disneyland actually. My son got what we're pretty sure is a concussion in one of the lines because he was trying to run through an empty line for Heimlich's Choo Choo Train of all attractions and didn't see the rope there and just clotheslined himself. And luckily he was wearing a pretty puffy Stitch hat, and we're pretty sure that's the only reason there wasn't blood involved. But but we went to the first aid and they just gave him some ice and some kid aspirin and stuff, and then gave us fast passes for whatever we wanted. So excluding Radiator Springs Racers, I think. But
At least he was okay. Thank God.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean,
I need to make it to Disneyland. It's on my bucket list in the next couple of years.
and you live
We'll
in Minnesota. The flights can't be any more expensive to go to LA than they are to Orlando, right?
Well, when we're in Florida, we get to see family. We don't have as much family in California. So
Guy Selga lives out there.
response. Okay, what do we think? Guy, do you think he'd do it?
Well, in the public venue, he'll say he will, but
yeah.
I think we're having connection issues here all of a sudden. So
yeah, well, I mean,
it's probably time to go. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Brian. This was fun. If you guys want us to do this again, let us know. Do the heart on here.
My microphone.
That would be great. Otherwise, yes, I will go back and answer all of your questions that we missed, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
See ya.